Let's be real, there's a little myth floating around out there that says the only way you can get truly cinematic, dreamy looking footage is with a Hollywood camera and a maxed out credit card. And that's just not true. And today, we're going to bust that myth. The most iconic visual trick in cinema is already in your hands. The Sony FX30 is a beast. You don't need new gear. All you need to do is focus on 4 insanely simple things that will get you 80% of the way to that professional look. Give me 5 minutes and I'll show you how to get the cinematic look you want without melting your bank account. And at the end, I'll share one counterintuitive trick that makes your current kit look way more expensive no matter what you've got, even if it's just a camera and a tripod. Comment your take down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Quick heads up, this is part 1 of a 4-part series. Today, we're setting the foundation with lenses, focal length, and distance, something referred to as the geometry of bokeh. Next up, in part 2, we'll cover motion cadence and exposure that feels like film, even in bright light. And in part 3, I'll walk you through simple settings to get stunning color out of vlog footage, no experience required. And part 4 is gonna be a mystery for right now. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next, and drop a comment, part 2 please, in the comments below if you're in. And chapter markers in the description if you want to jump ahead or come back to a certain part. First, some quick basics. Your lens equals your paintbrush. Before we touch a single menu setting, let's talk about glass. The camera body records the image, but the lens creates it. Think of your lens as your paintbrush and depth of field as your brush stroke. If bokeh is the goal, then aperture is the throttle. In plain English, bokeh is that soft, pleasing blur in the out of focus areas. The wider the aperture, the lower the F number, the shallower the depth of field. A shallow depth of field means a razor thin slice of sharpness, that delicious melted background. The famous numbers are f1.4, f1.8, f2.8, which make life easier. Prime lenses, which have fixed focal lengths, are usually faster and sharper dollar for dollar than zooms. On the FX30, classics like the 30mm f1.4, 35mm f1.8, or the 50mm f1.8 are absolute bokeh machines. But here's the thing nobody says loudly enough. You can create a ton of separation even with the lens you already have. If all you've got is a kit lens, you're still good. Most kit or zoom lenses top out around f3.5 to f5.6, which gives you a wider depth of field, but here's 4 tricks to instantly level the playing field and get more bokeh. Number 1, focal length compression. Using a longer focal length, like a 50mm, 70mm, or 85mm, doesn't just zoom in. It compresses space, making the background appear closer and larger. Here's why it matters. Number 1, it magnifies the blur. Background details look softer and bokeh balls get bigger. Number 2, it adds separation. Your subject pops forward even at the same aperture. So for example, a 24mm looks wide and deep. An 85mm flattens the space for that cinematic movie close feel. Now we gotta remember, on the Sony FX30, an 85mm lens acts like a 127mm full frame lens because of the 1.5 crop. That extra compression and blur is basically a bokeh cheat code. So here's a pro tip. Even with a kit lens, zoom all the way up and then back up to reframe your subject, and you'll get instant creamy background with no new gear needed. Quick formula: longer focal length equals more compression equals more blur and a more cinematic depth. Number 2, zoom to the long end of your lens. Telephoto compresses the background, making it feel closer and blurrier. On an APS-C sensor, even 50mm to 70mm makes a huge difference. You'll need to back up to reframe, which is perfect because backing up increases your subject to background distance. More on that coming up next. Number 3, subject to background distance. Get your subject away from the wall. 10 feet is better than 2. 20 feet is magic. Give your lens something to blur, like trees with gaps, or lights down a street, a hallway that recedes, sunlight through the leaves. Remember, texture plus distance equals artistic atmospheric background. Number 4, camera to subject distance. Physically move your camera closer to the subject. Fill the frame. Shorten that distance while lengthening the subject to background distance. That's the no-budget bokeh cheat code. Hold on, because right after this quick focal length guide, I'll give you a 5-minute micro exercise that'll permanently change how you scout locations. 24 to 30mm, great for environmental portraits or storytelling shots. You can still get depth by moving in close and pushing the background far away. 30 to 50mm, the natural look. Tons of control over separation in normal rooms. Perfect for talking heads. 56 to 85mm, compression city. The background turns to butter. Perfect for beauty shots, interviews, or nature when you can't get close to your subject. Prime lenses give you that lovely wide aperture and punchier contrast, but zooms win for speed and flexibility. If you're using a zoom, go all the way to the long end, step back, and open up as much as your f-stop allows. Don't sell your zoom short. It can absolutely deliver with smart staging. So a quick side note, I've noticed that with my 55 to 210mm Sony lens, when I zoom all the way up to the 210mm, I sometimes see like a strange distortion in the image. And you can't see it in the viewfinder while you're recording, but once you bring it up into the edit, it really shows up. So here's what I've discovered. Number 1, lens limitations. At the 210mm, the lens is at its weakest. Sharpness drops, fine detail softens, and chromatic aberrations appear. It looks fine in camera, but it's noticeably softer on the big screen. Number 2, there's an atmospheric distortion. Zooming in means shooting through more air, heat, humidity, or even haze, and that can warp the image, especially near road, sand, or water. Number 3, camera shake. At long zooms, tiny little movements look huge. Use a tripod or a monopod, enable OSS if you have that on your lens, and keep the shutter speed around 1/200 or more to avoid microblur. Also, consider what you're shooting. For outdoor and nature wildlife, longer zooms are awesome. For indoor or talking head work, primes give you more control and better light. We have to remember, not all blur looks the same. Some lenses give you circular bokeh balls, others look more cat-eyed near the edges. Some even swirl a little. None of this is right or wrong. It's all flavor. Embrace your lens's character. If your background has small point light sources, fairy lights, street lamps, sunlight through leaves, that character really pops. If it's just a blank wall, it won't. If you want to keep your aperture wide open without blowing out your exposure and you don't have an ND filter yet, here's a few ways to tilt the odds in your favor. First, time of day. Blue hour and golden hour let you open up wide without nuking the highlights. Second, open shade. North-facing shade or tree cover gives you soft, low-contrast light. Third, turn your subject. Make the brightest source a backlight or a rim light instead of full frontal. It'll give you an instant exposure drop and that cinematic edge glow. Here's the 10 by 10 by 10 drill. Find a spot with depth, a park path, a hallway, or street lights. And first, place your subject 10 feet from the background. 2, put your camera 10 feet away from your subject. 3, zoom to the long end and shoot at the lowest f number you can. Number 4, move in 3 feet and reframe and shoot again. Then move your subject back another 10 feet and repeat. You'll see the blur compound as the distances change. This exercise locks the geometry of bokeh into muscle memory. Alright, so now the counterintuitive trick, as promised. One thing you can do is always look for a foreground. Put something close to the camera. A door frame, leaves, railing. I've got this simple plant as an example. Like if we were to put this right in here, it would just kind of add something that you're shooting through. If you're looking through the frame, it helps to increase the distance and give some more motion blur. Foreground blurs plus background blur makes your subject pop like a stage actor in the spotlight. When you watch your favorite movies, notice how often characters are framed through fences, windows, or railings. That looking in perspective adds visual depth and emotional tension. So a quick personal note, filmmaking became my way out of some of my darkest years. My life after alcoholism and depression. Picking up a camera gave me a place to put my hands and my heart. And using creativity helped me to rebuild, and creating depth in a frame taught me how to find depth in life. So if you're struggling with something similar, find your creative outlet. Tiny steps really do add up. All right, so quick recap. Open up your aperture as much as your exposure allows. This will give you maximum blur. Zoom long, step back, then pull your subject farther back from the background. Remember, with the zoom lens, go all the way out and then bring it back just a little bit so you don't get any of those weird distortions that can happen. Choose textured, layered backgrounds with points of light. Make your frame really pop. Get physically closer to your subject. This helps to increase the background blur. Add a soft foreground for instant, expensive looking depth. Hey guys, if this helped, hit that like button so the algorithm knows to show you more of this type of content. Comment depth wins and tell me what lens you're using. Kit lens, prime, whatever. And make sure you're subscribed so you catch part 2, where we'll unlock that smooth filmic motion without any experience required. In part 2, I'll also show you why cranking up your shutter to fix bright scenes is quietly wrecking your footage, and how to keep that creamy motion while staying perfectly exposed even at noon. That's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next part of the series.